Kandiss Taylor said people were begging her to run for Congress. She refused until God told her to do so. Yes, it's Clint Day. Let's find. Here it is. Here it is. I found
Welcome
it.
To Speak the Truth in Love.
Oh, I found it. Yes.
Welcome to Speak the Truth in Love with Clint Day from St. Simon's Island, Georgia on WCGA 1100 AM, where we do speak the truth in love based on Ephesians 4.
We speak the truth in love, which is to say gay people are going to hell, right? That's truth and love to you?
4:15. In today's woke PC culture, there are many forces that want to stop free speech, especially for people of faith.
Oh, give it a fucking rest.
Good men and women must be willing to stand up for their faith and be the salt and light to preserve our freedom. True freedom comes from faith in Jesus Christ. In John 8:32, God's word says, the truth will set you free. Today, I'd like to welcome you good friends. I'd like to welcome a great friend, Kandiss Taylor.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Clint.
Kandiss, we're so honored to have you here today, and we're excited about what God's doing in your life. Tell us about what he's doing in some recent decisions you've made.
I guess she's running for Congress now, huh?
Well, he's doing all kinds of amazing things, like telling me to forgive other people and to honor him and to repent when I need to, but then love his children even when they do bad things. Well, that I think what you're speaking specifically about would be that I'm going to run for Congress for the 1st District seat that currently Congressman Buddy Carter holds. He's running.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Okay, if you don't know Kandiss Taylor, let me give you a little bit of background on this person. And I say that word loosely. She's a Nazi, an actual full-blown Hitler-loving Nazi. And I say that because she associates closely with Stu Peters. In fact, Stu Peters did her, well, she ran for governor of Georgia. Stu Peters did her campaign, materials for her, like her, he did the recordings for her ads and things like that. And her gubernatorial race, or her campaign in Georgia, heavily focused on getting rid of the Georgia Guidestones. It was just this big monument that was privately owned, privately constructed, had nothing to do with the state, but she said she was going to get rid of them. There's nothing she could have done because someone else owns it, right? Well, enough demonizing will solve any problem, as she found out, because somebody bombed the Georgia Guidestones and destroyed them. A terrorist event. And conveniently, no one ever figured out who it was. Huh. Just disgusting. Just an absolutely disgusting human being, honestly. She's a domestic terrorist. In all seriousness. In my opinion, she's a domestic terrorist. Stu Peters is a domestic terrorist. And they need to face consequences for the shit that they do. But here we have Kandiss Taylor running for Congress. You know, she ran for governor and she lost. Oh, she's a flat earther too. I probably forgot to mention that one. She ran for governor and she lost and absolutely melted down over it at the time. This is her logo or slogan or whatever. It was right here on screen, Jesus, guns, and babies. Jesus, guns, and babies. I believe that she and Marjorie Taylor Greene, on paper, they get along, but they actually hate each other, if I remember correctly. After she lost her election, she got 2% or something like that. I can't believe she got that many. After that, she came out and did this.
I wanted y'all to know that I do not concede. I do not.
Anybody gives a fuck.
And if the people who did this and cheated are watching, I do not concede. And the people of Georgia will not allow me to. I want you to feel inside of your gut a righteous anger for justice. I want you to pray specifically, I want you to pray for dark to be brought to light, for justice for the state of Georgia. And anyone who has helped contribute to this crime, to this,
which is the election interference, right?
Travesty, anyone who's contributed to this, I want you to pray that they feel so guilty they come forward. God can do anything he wants to. So we pray for guilt.
She's such a fool, dude. And this wasn't the only video of it. This is when she was more measured and calm. She was crying when she found out. I was looking for the other video because there's one of her crying. Well, anyway, you get the idea. The point is that, boy, did you guys see those eyes just now? I'm sorry. I'm going to pull that back up. We got to take a quick look at that one more time. There. That's what I call the crazy eyes. That's the term I'm giving it, the crazy eyes. Yeah, let's listen to her talk about running for Congress.
For U.S. Senate. But, somebody told me today, they said, but you announced before he said he was going to run for U.S. Senate. And I said, yeah, I did.
She's actually getting older. Wow.
Because the Lord told me to do it. But really, I had over 1,000 people ask me in the past 4 years in this district to run for this seat.
That is fantastic.
Over and over and over. And I was like, no, I'm not going to D.C.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a right-wing celebrity or a Nazi celebrity. I've said this before, but there are two different types of right-wingers. There are Zionist right-wingers and there are Nazi right-wingers, pretty much. There isn't a whole lot of in between. And she is a Nazi right-winger, a Reich-winger, if you will.
Lost nothing in D.C. I'm not going to D.C. No. And it just, no. And I actually was talking to my campaign people that helped me before in Savannah today, and they said, I got asked over 100 times to ask you to run.
Wow, she's getting help from the campaign people that helped her before. That's Stu Peters. Stu Peters is a Nazi, like an actual Nazi, a real Nazi. I should do a video about this.
So it was just on and on. And so when we prayed about
on and on,
but I really wanted to run for governor again. I feel very equipped to do that job because 80%.
Okay, well, I have to tell you, you're not.
And his budget is public education. I've been a public educator for over 2 decades. But the Lord said very clearly that the people want you to serve here. You have grace to do it. Amen. I've given you grace to do it. And so I knew, okay, well, you don't give me grace to do it, I'm going to do it.
That's so good. And I tell you, it's important to listen to the voice of God, that's for sure. And then, of course, you've got to feel led to do something like this, to put your family through it, and the pressure on yourself. It is an amazing process. Of course, I've run several times for different offices, and it can be a very thankless job for sure.
Grace to do it, I'm going to do it.
That's so good. And I tell you, it's important to listen to the voice of God, that's for sure. And then, of course, you've got to feel led to do something like this, to put your family through it, and the pressure on yourself. It is an amazing process. Of course, I've run several times for different offices, and it can be a very thankless job for sure. But obviously, it's so good to be able to help people.
You mean it's so good to have incredible power in your hands, right? Be able to do whatever you want and influence the way society moves and all that.
And you do help people, and you can talk about this because you've ran like I have. I've ran twice.
Who's you? You help people? You got a mouse in your pocket? Who do you think you are helping? These people aren't helping anybody. The mouse might, at least.
Twice. I ran for U.S. Senate. I ran for governor. Then I served as first district chair, which you have as well. And what you find is people get saved, and you help restore marriages, and you help encourage people with their children, and you meet people that you would never have met that are like family. And I've done it all over the state, which you ran a statewide campaign too. So I would never, ever regret running to sacrifice those friendships and relationships that I've made, because we're
Give it a rest, dude. She's such a victim. These people are always the victims of everything, aren't they?
created for relationship. It's so important.
Amen.
And running, when you get your voice out there, you get heard. And I put so much pressure with Jesus, Guns, and Babies on constitutional carry. And then it got passed right after I ran.
Yes.
So, your voice makes a difference. You're speaking things. There's power, life, and death in our tongue. And we're speaking about the things in our campaign. And whether you win or not, you are very relevant when you run for a seat. It's important.
Absolutely. Talking about being salt and light to preserve freedom. And I'm so glad you're doing it. And I'm excited again because, again, you stick to what you believe. You know what you believe based on the Word of God. And we need more people to understand the Word of God, even what's going on with Israel and Iran nowadays and the challenges in the Middle East. And if you know the Word of God, you know the outcome. You know what's happening. You know it's not.
God, these people are insane. Interesting. She is a Nazi. She talks to Nazis, hangs around with Nazis, friends with Nazis, has Nazis run her political campaign. And again, I'm not saying that lightly. I mean, the guy that ran her political campaign said that Hitler was a hero. Let me prove it. It's relevant.
It was war. Horrific things happened.
This dude, Stu Peters on the left, ran Kandiss Taylor's political campaign.
Lots of people died. It was World War II. I don't believe that World War II happened as a result of the Holocaust. I don't believe that was the reason for the war. And
No, it wasn't. No, these countries came after. All right. Hitler started World War II by attacking countries and trying to take land. They took, he took France, for example, and then France worked with like everybody else, the US and the UK and everybody, to retake their own, to retake their land. And that was World War II. People did not invade Normandy beaches in France and retake Europe because Jews were dying. Like, very few people actually gave a shit about that at the time. I mean, let me rephrase. Very few political leaders gave a shit about that. They did that because, or they invaded because they wanted to retake Europe to help their allies. I don't know of anybody that claims that Hitler was pushed back by the Americans because he was hurting Jews. I don't think they were a minority group. I don't think anybody gave a shit about the Jews at the time. But okay.
Asking a lot of questions about that. People don't.
I'm sorry, step back.
World War II. I don't believe that World War II happened as a result of the Holocaust. I don't believe that that was the reason for the war. And I'm asking a lot of questions about that. People don't like when I ask a lot of questions.
You are more than welcome to ask any question you want. No complaints or qualms from me. I couldn't possibly care less. Literally impossible for me to care less if you ask questions. I had questions about World War II, and I looked for the answers, and I found the answers, and I moved on with my life. That's not what he does.
About that. Hitler may have been an evil dictator, a ruthless person that murdered millions of people. I don't know, because of the propaganda that surrounds every war. But for this, wasn't he a hero? Wasn't Hitler doing the right thing when he ordered these books to be burned? And
this is what I'm saying. He says Hitler was a hero.
Places to be stormed by force?
I'm sorry, let me rephrase. He says, wasn't Hitler a hero? That's what I should have said. He didn't actually say Hitler was a hero, I suppose. He's litigious. He likes suing people who claim that. You said, wasn't Hitler a hero? And you're a Holocaust denial. And you're a Holocaust denier in the colloquial sense, a Holocaust denier. This is who Kandiss Taylor has running her whole system. By the way, I believe that this is Mussolini on the left and Hitler on the right. Mussolini being the leader of Italy, founder of fascism.
Well, even if he didn't order it, at least the people that followed him knew what to do, and he wasn't going to complain about it.
This is Holocaust denialism. This is a famously popular method of denying culpability in World War II. David Irving wrote this book about Goring, where a biography in the 70s or the 80s, where he claimed that Goring didn't know that the Holocaust was happening. Hitler didn't know the Holocaust was happening. It was all the people under them that were making all of this happen. And for that reason, Hitler is in heaven because he did the right thing, and he basically believed all the same shit that, David Irving believed, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, this is what needed to be done. If you're going to save a civilization, I mean, the civilization was dying. This is
delusion, and disgusting delusion at that. Anyway, the point is that Kandiss Taylor works with Nazis. She is a Nazi. If you are at the table with 11 Nazis, then there are 12 Nazis at the table, as they say, right? As far as I'm concerned. Let's keep listening.
Glad you're doing it, and I'm excited again because, again, you stick to what you believe. You know what you believe based on the Word of God, and we need more people to understand the Word of God, even what's going on with Israel and Iran nowadays and the challenges in the Middle East. If you know the Word of God, you know the outcome. You know what's happening. You know it's not something just historically is happening, even though it is historical, but it's prophetically is happening right before our eyes.
Yes, and in my soul, I don't want to be in war, right? I do not want to be in war.
No one does.
Okay, go on. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I don't want anybody to die that's innocent. I mean, I'm fine if, this sounds awful, but I'm fine if they kill people who are terrorists.
That's right.
If they want to kill us, kill them.
That's right.
But I don't want innocent children and people killed at all. But there's a lot of things going on we don't know.
Exactly.
And people are mad. Like, President Trump hates war. And why is he now talking about war? And, all the things. And I'm like, he's not telling us everything he knows.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. Trump is the good guy, of course. And he's working to fix everything and help people and all that other nonsense, right? Absolutely. That checks out. Let's see. Where was the... So this came out a month ago. I didn't realize it was that old. So this came out June 28th, 2025. Wow. They're probably talking about Iran, right?
Where we do speak the truth in love.
Yes. Yes, there we go. 419.
Why is he now talking about war and, all the things? And I'm like, he's not telling us everything he knows.
That's right.
But I trust him and how much he hates war, that if
Who told you that Trump hates war other than him? Why would you trust him on this? He very obviously does not hate war.
he's talking about getting involved, he knows we don't have a choice.
You're such a sucker.
Amen. I trust God and I trust Trump. I really do. I believe he's going to make wise choices. And again, when you think about the reality, when someone tells you they want to kill you, believe them.
Right.
You can't act like that's not true. And that's
Okay, wow, I appreciate him saying that. I happen to know for a fact that evangelicals pretty frequently say that they want to kill atheists. You telling me I should take them at their word? I mean, I do. I'm just saying that shit is kind of disturbing.
not part of their, quite frankly, their religion. Their religion will teach a lot of that. You convert.
This guy's religion teaches that killing atheists is good.
We will take you out, or you're a lowlife, if you will. And countries prove that all over the world that are dominated by that particular religion. So we know that. But let's get back to why are you running?
Well, I'm running because I want the first district to be relevant. I don't want to just be another congressional seat out of the 14 the 14 districts. That's just, we're one seat in Congress that's a red seat, very red in the first district. And, we're there and we're a good old boy and we're playing along with everybody else, and lobbyists tell us what to do and we vote Democrat half the time or whatever. I want to go and be a lightning rod for the conservative Christians in this district. And I want to be relevant. The first district has the
A lightning rod, huh?
most dense resources of any district in the state. We have 3 ports. We have 2 ports. We have 3 military bases. We have a nuclear power plant. We have all the agriculture and farmland. We have small businesses galore. We have big businesses like Rayonier and Flexi and all of the things we have in the first district. It is so dense. This country cannot function without 2 arteries of our ports that are bringing in goods and exporting goods into this nation. We are so vital, but yet we're irrelevant in politics because we're not in Atlanta. And I want to make first district relevant.
That's good. Sounds really good. Well, what are the relevant issues you want to bring up?
Well, I want to protect the ports. That's, to me, one of the most important.
What do they need protection from? Do you think that there are monsters that crawl out of the out of the ocean that are trying to eat the ports? Do you think someone's trying to take advantage of the ports or something? I don't understand. What are you going to do to protect the ports? You're going to ask them to show us on the doll where somebody touched them? I don't understand why they need protection.
Issues in this first.
Is she talking about ports in the United States? Who's trying to hurt the ports? What did the ports do to deserve that?
District are our ports. I want to make sure we honor the veterans. We have 700,000 in Georgia, and the majority of them live in the first district. And so making sure that their mental health is met, making sure that they have what they need health care wise.
Wait, is she saying the ports or the pores? I can't tell if she's saying the pores.
Protecting the elderly with Social Security. I was talking to.
No, she's saying the ports, right? She wouldn't say that she wants to protect the pores. There's no way in hell. She doesn't give a shit about the pores.
To my aunt, who is a retired educator, a retired principal. She recently changed to Medicare because she had to. And when she changed, it is insane that they will not do tests that she needs done. She has a knee injury. They don't want to do an MRI. When she had state health benefits, it was no problem if you needed something done. She had a shoulder injury before from lifting my grandfather before he passed. No problem. Now she has a knee injury. They don't want to do the MRI. And she's not a sickly person, never been sick, paid insurance her whole life.
Okay, yeah. So she's been the victim of health insurance companies her whole life is what you're telling me. They have fucked her over at every turn and gotten everything that they could out of her, and she's gotten nothing back from them. Is that what you're telling me? And you're proud of that fact?
And she said, Medicare just doesn't care about us. That makes me angry. She's very healthy. She's only 65. Why are you not wanting to do an MRI on her knee and fix her torn meniscus?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so there's issues there. There's so many issues that at the federal level that I am passionate about that I want to address. Homeless and special
I want to address homeless. Okay.
special needs, things that, they put down in public education on educators. But what about all the kids that are homeschooled now? We have a huge homeschooling population, especially since COVID, which I'm totally for the freedom.
Ugh, God, not me. I'm actually very anti-homeschooling. Very anti-homeschooling. I think it should be illegal to homeschool your kid. I was homeschooled. It was bad. Really, really bad. It is not healthy for a kid's mind to homeschool, to be left alone like that.
To homeschool your children or put them in
Yes.
private school or whatever, the money should follow the child. I'm all about
So
that.
school choice.
No, it shouldn't. It should not follow the child. It should follow the people who know how the education system works and can guarantee that the child is going to get a good education.
Is a big
School
deal for
choice
you.
is a big deal
And
for
it's
me.
Pure school choice. The money follows the child, period.
Yes, sir.
Without government control.
Yes, sir. Even though I'm an educator, most
Right, we
educators are not.
understand.
There's
Well, to create more opportunities for
She is not an educator.
every educator. That's the thing. Freedom allows more opportunities, more jobs, more schools.
Oh, give it a rest. There are some things that capitalism should not kind of be involved in or control. There are some things that are inelastic demands. Some things that I need, whether I have the money for it or not. If I need an appendix or if an appendectomy or whatever, if I need my appendix removed, they can charge me $20 or $20,000. It doesn't matter. If I need that done, I'm going to get it done or I'll die. It's an inelastic demand. Capitalism should not be a component. Free markets should not be a component for things that are inelastic demands, like appendectomies or like school. School is not a choice that people have. They must go to school. There shouldn't be competition in schools because it sets up a scenario in which people who are rich and who are privileged have better education, who have better opportunities than the impoverished, and everybody should have the same opportunity. I mean, what they do with that opportunity is a totally different thing, but they should at least have the same opportunities as everyone else, right? So the point is that the money should not follow the child. We shouldn't have homeschooling, and there shouldn't be this ass backwards like competition in schools. I don't know what these people are smoking that they think this would be a good idea.
Being able to teach students that want to learn, because a lot of schools, you have students that don't want to learn. We understand they got to be taken care of too, but that's one of the biggest problems I hear is that.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. Do you know why students, quote unquote, don't want to learn? Because they haven't been mentored. They haven't been treated well. Because they have a hard home life. That type of thing. There are no kids that, quote unquote, just don't want to learn because they're not learners or whatever. It's entirely environmental. And you're telling me that, like, you want to privilege people with more money, resources, time on their hands, ability, whatever.
The lack of discipline for the students.
right. And either we're a capitalistic society or we're
Right.
not.
That's right.
We are. But there are things that are inelastic that should not be within the capitalistic realm, obviously. Like Medicare, like she was just talking about.
We are
Absolutely.
or we're not.
We
We
really
can't
are.
pick and choose. We're not cherry picking here.
Absolutely.
So in public education, there's always going to be a place.
Yes.
There-
Right now, real quick, on before we get too
Yeah.
deep into those weeds, if you will, let's talk about your family. Let's hear about your husband and your children. And
So I'm a public school educator. My husband is as well.
Don't tell me that.
And I want to tell you this before we get on the air. So I said, we'll talk about it. But he just took a job at a public online high school because he was teaching art at a public high school,
A public online high school. He was teaching art, huh?
brick and mortar. So now he's going to be online so he can be flexible. So when we win and we go to DC, he can go with me. I think it's so important. We see people run for these seats and they have affairs and they, the family splits up. And it's so crazy to me because I would never run for a seat thinking I was going to wreck my family.
Right.
And so it's so important to us as a couple when we decided together to do this. If we're going to go to DC, we're going together. And so we're going to go together, come back together, go together, come back together. So we're going to be.
Bro, that's hard. Most people have a home in DC and they have a home in their main district or whatever. Like Bernie Sanders lives in Burlington, Vermont or wherever it is. And he also lives and works in DC because that you have to live there like half the year.
in the first district as much as possible, obviously not in DC unless we have to be there to vote and to do committees. Other than that, we'll be here, but we will go together. And so he's already transitioned jobs, and he will transition actually in 2 weeks so that he can be ready to do that.
That's right. That's a great confidence builder for y'all right there. That's great. Great vision. Now, one thing about Buddy that I feel very good about with Buddy Carter, our current congressman, I think he has done a very good job of showing up for events.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, even parades and gatherings of veterans or whatever. I would see him quite often down here, even when he was full time up in the Savannah area. He was here a lot.
Even in the small.
Oh, they're in Savannah, Georgia, I guess. Hold on. There we go. Nice.
Counties.
Exactly.
I mean, really small counties.
Yes.
He would show up with 10 people, and I told him that. I said, Congressman, one thing you do well, I may not always agree with how he voted.
That's right.
But I agree. I love that he cared about the people. He didn't have an entourage around him with security keeping you away. He was hugging you, talking to you, very accessible. And that's important.
Absolutely. In this district especially, you're so right. And of course, from a safety standpoint, with some of the crazy stuff going on lately, there probably is going to be more need for security around certain people at certain times. And I understand that completely. So when you go back to the process of this, what do you have to do to win this district?
Well, I think that these other guys are winning it for me. I heard that there are 9 of us now.
Wow.
I've only heard actually 2 that's came out, but then I was talking to a political consultant that said, no, there's 9, including you. You're the 9th one. I said, no, I'm the first one. I announced first. And he was like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no, it matters. Numbers matter. I'm first.
She's such an idiot.
But I was playing. But I think there's 9. And so there's a lot of people. They're going to divide the vote out. I think ultimately it's going to come down to name recognition, which I have the most from hard work and serving the people in the first district for 2
Yeah, she does have good name recognition. That's true.
years. And then before that, going to all 159 counties and really pushing in and
She has a bad reputation, though, as a flat earther and a nutcase.
and working hard in 2 other campaigns. And so you build up that notoriety and the name recognition, and the left wing.
Build up the notoriety, she says. That's a bad thing. You don't want notoriety. Notoriety is infamy. Is like infamy. She's so stupid, dude. Was that intentional? I have to wonder. Does she realize notoriety is bad? Notorious, being notorious?
Media that hates me and puts me in the Rolling Stones for crazy things too. But other than that, just really working hard and serving the people. And nobody will work harder than me. And I think the other guys.
No one will work harder than her to accomplish Nazi goals, full-blown Sieg Heiling Nazi goals.
Know that I'm going to outwork everybody. So if they want to even get in the runoff with me, they're going to have to work really hard. Money's not going to do it for them.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And you also have to have money to get the message out, though, and you know that, and I know you're going to do very well with that. Now, when we go back to the processes of what you've been through, you talked about running for statewide races, and I've done the same thing. And of course, there are plenty of politicians. I think about Newt Gingrich, who ran for Congress 2 or 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 before he actually won, and then made a huge difference. Help us understand that process for you and some of the things you've done in the past. You mentioned a little bit about them, but what did you learn in those processes running statewide especially? So
I ran 2020 for U.S. Senate, and I didn't know anything. I went qualified in March. It was on the ballot in November in that special election primary with 21 candidates. Knew nothing except that I knew the Constitution. I knew we wasn't following it. And I was ready to get involved. And I went to all 159 counties, some multiple times. And I didn't raise a whole lot of money, maybe $100,000 or something, not a lot. But I worked really
Not a lot. No, that really isn't a lot for like political campaigns, I guess.
hard. And I met a lot of people, had 10,000 volunteers, people passionate, and learned that it was very dirty. Was offered money to get out of the race. It was crazy
She claimed that. I don't believe her, though. I'm sorry. I just don't.
stuff. Then when I went to run for governor, I did that because I was so ticked off about 2020. Even my own numbers I saw go up and down. You saw President Trump's numbers go up and down, and I thought you can't lose votes. You add, and
She's just so full of shit. She's probably referring to that time when there was a glitch on the front end on the website of the the vote counting thing that showed that Donald Trump had like 10 million votes or something completely unrealistic in like a town. And the front end, not the back end, but the front end was corrected because the back end was never broken. And then Trump's like, look, they took votes from me. It was so stupid. And she's leaning into the same garbage here.
and election night, not subtract. And I was so angry. I thought, you know what? I'm going to run against Governor Kemp. He's going to be primaried because of what happened in 2020. I was so mad. And so I ran for 2 years really hard. And I mean, I ended up with 60,000 volunteers. We worked a grassroots ground game that was very, very effective and very hard ran. And I'm proud of what we did. And I still have, you know, friends all over the state and all over the country. I have people.
Come on, Kandiss. Everybody knows that you don't have any friends. Be honest.
That I met, like Steve Bannon and Mike Lindell and Roger Stone and all these guys that were just, you know, helped me. They endorsed me. They helped me. And I actually announced on Steve Bannon's show, and he was at the state convention last week and gave me a shout out from the stage. And
he did. I saw that. And
yeah,
that was really, he did an excellent job. I was at that
Bannon gave her a shout out. Interesting.
pick of dinner, and you did a very good job with praying and everything. It was
Thank you.
really fantastic. So when you think about, again, other issues that are going to be important to you, what other issues are important to, particularly us in the 1st District?
Oh, goodness. I have all my issues on my website, CandissTaylor.com. So go there and look. There's so many. But, you know, just protecting the Constitution, making sure that our freedom of speech is not infringed on, making sure our...
Give it a fucking rest. Like she cares about freedom of speech. Like she ever cared about freedom of speech. She didn't. She set out to destroy people's freedom of speech. I don't want to hear it.
Second Amendment's not infringed on, making sure that we have smaller government, not bigger government, making sure that I don't have a bill that's 1,000 pages that I don't know what's in it and I'm passing it. If it has mess in there that we don't want, I'm not passing the bill. I don't
If it has mess in there that I don't want,
care if it has wonderful things. If it has things that hurt the American people, we're not passing it. If it's things that my 1st District people do not want, we're not doing it. So I'm going to listen to the constituents. I'm going to do what they want, the majority of them. And if it's even something that I'm like, I really don't like that, but it's constitutionally sound and it's what they want, I'm going to go represent them as a public servant. And that's what I want to do. I want to be a public servant to the 1st District. I want to give them a voice. I want to bring industry here that they want. And I'm going to be dogmatic about it. And I'm going to build relationships with people. And they're going to say, you know what, let's help Kandiss out in her district.
Totally.
And I'm really good at relationship. And so I know I'm going to make inroads there that other people haven't been able to do without taking lobbyist money and without taking backroom bribes.
That's good. Well, I tell you, again, I've been very impressed with the healing you've done. You had a very difficult.
There's a lot of corruption in our political system, a lot. And people are so sick of political corruption in the United States. They're willing to say or do whatever it takes to get out of this situation. Up to and including getting people in who are nutcases, Nazis, or completely oblivious to expectations or how anything works.
Race for the 1st District chairman, very close vote. Some other sides of the party, if you will, I was opposed to them. I was supporting you in that process, and I was so glad when you won, but it was a very close race. And we heard one of the former opponents get up and actually, you know, support you and endorse you. And I was very, very impressed with how you built those bridges. How did you do that?
I think just being kind to them and us having some really hard conversations. I told you there was several of them that we even got really loud, and my daughter was in the car and she's like, Mama, you're like being mean to them. And I'm like, well, they're being mean to me. And so we had heated discussion.
I don't give a fuck if they're being mean to you, and they're not being mean to you like that. I mean, the press, I assume, is who she's referring to, right? They're criticizing you. That's allowed. But she's going after specific people intentionally to hurt them maliciously like a fucking scumbag. And either way, that's what a free press is all about. That's how a free press works. But she doesn't understand that term, I guess.
But then we came out in the end and were able to agree or disagree, but respect each other's opinion. And then from that point, just looking forward and coming here, and, you know, my former chairman, Bill Edgy, he ran for the water sewer thing, and I came over and signed way for him and helped him. We're Republicans at the end of the day, and we have to come back together and help each other. And the Democrats do that really well. They say, you know,
they do?
United no matter what, because they have no morality.
Okay, because they have no morality. So you're saying you shouldn't have morality either? She's starting to stick her foot in her mouth a little bit here.
Let's abort a kid after they're born. Okay.
God, dude, literally not one human being has ever said that. Nobody believes in that. Again, like, I want to say this is delusion, but it's giving her too much credit. It's not delusion. She knows what she's saying is a lie. You cannot convince me otherwise. Nobody says this.
well. They stay united no matter what because they have no morality, and let's abort a kid after they're born. Okay, let's give children hormone therapy when they're 5 years old. Okay,
Nobody does this. Literally nobody. I gotta write this down. Kandiss says people want to abort children after they're born, and that what was the other thing?
okay, let's
Oh, and give 5-year-old children hormone therapy.
give children hormone therapy when they're 5 years old. Okay, they don't care. There's no
It's just complete delusion.
morality. And the Republican Party, we have different levels of morality. And so because of that, we argue and we fight and we let the enemy come in with division, when really we should have discussion and iron sharpening iron, and then move to a place of unity and us fighting darkness. And
Iron sharpening iron.
so I believe that's what we did really well. And not just me, but Bill and others.
Who is BU? BU. I've never heard that name before. Is that an American name? What is that? Is that originally like a Jewish name or a European? BU. Interesting.
Came together and said, you know what, we've got to win the first district for President Trump.
That's exactly
and we won
right.
it bigger than we ever have. Patrick Duncan, Glenn County Chair,
Duncan.
former chair, was a big part in that, getting the signage out and really working together. He drove to Appleton County several times and got signs from my dad when he didn't have to get it out for his people here. And we just all networked together really well.
That is so good, and that's what it takes, that unity with a common enemy. Once you get to the party politics behind you, go to the common enemy, the
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Democrats. We clearly want to beat them, and this U.S. Senate race is going to be very important.
Miracle, how does that work? Abortion after birth? Out of my head. Have you heard it before? I imagine you probably have. It's complete delusion, of course. The idea that people are trying to, literally kill babies. That would be murder. That would be literal murder. Nobody wants literal murder. Post-birth abortion is what she's referring to, and it's just nonsense. Nobody ever endorsed that. Nobody wanted that. Nobody spoke up for it or whatever. It's just insane.
And I think you'll be playing a key role in that, just getting the voters out, like you said. How many more voters did we have this time? Do you remember? It feel like there's a pretty significant number in the first district that came out.
I need to look at the first district numbers. I can tell you that we turned out 800,000 statewide that did not vote in 2024,
Right.
2020.
And then Trump won by 115,000.
Right.
And I'm understanding 2/3 of the people moving to the state of Georgia are Democrats. We have a lot of industries. I think we're going to have to really look at that industry of Hollywood. Even though we have a lot of conservatives in that business, they tend to bring a lot of liberal voters, as does technology.
So what is he saying, that we need to find a way to limit the votes of these organizations?
Which is regrettable. We got to really figure out how to reach out to them. How do you reach out to minorities better?
Well, I think that they need to understand the conservative Christian values that we bring and we represent, because
If they understood our conservative values, they wouldn't be minorities, right? Is that what she's trying to communicate right now?
Most Hispanic voters are Catholic, so they're people of faith.
Correct.
And then you have most Black voters are very strong Christians, and they're very spiritual.
That's true. Yep.
And I think it's reaching and bridging that listen, quit thinking Republican, Democrat, and start thinking moral and immoral. What do you believe in morally? And when we do that, we bring voters over. And we did that well during the Trump campaign and brought some Democrats over because they were so put off by the boys and girls sports and by.
She's right. That was a winning issue for Republicans. Trans people in sports. Of course, it's a witch hunt. It's nonsense. It's complete trash. But it was a winning issue for Republicans. They found their propaganda line that worked and they ran with it.
The abortion to the nth degree and the things that they were perpetuating that's just totally insane left-wing ideas.
Right.
I think that we push those areas and we really come together and quit being so divided, Republican, Democrat. People get into identity politics when we really need to put Jesus first.
Absolutely. It's so true. And
Isn't that Christian identity politics?
recently very glad that the courts upheld the law in Tennessee 6-3, apparently, to if you don't want to be taking body parts off children and giving them drugs to
I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Is he talking about some secret human trafficking ring or something? No. He's talking about people getting trans-affirming treatment. Trans-affirming surgery for children is almost non-existent. It was always almost non-existent completely. It was an incredibly uncommon thing to happen. Literal, like between 1 and 2,000 people in the United States every year would go through this. But these people want to turn it into the biggest deal on planet Earth, of course.
Yesterday, them and really mess them up. I mean, it's really terrible what they're doing to people with the left's view on that. I mean,
just nonsense. The left isn't doing anything. The left was never trying to get 5-year-olds surgery or whatever. Get help. Jesus Christ, dude.
Totally changing a child's life when they're not even able to make the decision. They're not mature enough. And a parent getting involved with that and making decisions that are going to affect them the rest of their lives. So what's your thought on that whole process of how the Supreme Court ruled recently?
Well, I'm thankful.
Yes.
Right. I'm thankful that they have upheld that, like they overturned Roe, and which was constitutional. It should have gone back to the states.
Correct.
And so
even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that.
That's right.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that Roe v. Wade should be abolished. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Really? These people are so completely full of shit. Every word out of their mouths is bullshit. My God.
And so they did read the Constitution. Let's apply the Constitution. And then quit being so controlling from the federal level. Let's push it back to the states. That's
Oh, okay. You don't want the federal government to control anything anymore, is what you're telling me. Okay, I'm down with that. So you're telling me that abortion is fine then, right? As long as the states make those decisions, you're okay with that? You're telling me that it's okay to be gay? People can get gay married if they want? This woman has never been in favor of states making choices. Okay, this is exactly what the South said during the Civil War era, whatever. They said states should make these decisions about slavery. Well, I'm sorry, human rights should not be decided by states. Should be federally decided. Human rights should, first of all. And second, she doesn't actually give a shit about states' rights. Never did. She cares about getting what she wants with no principle behind it whatsoever. She has no principles. She wants to prevent people from getting gay marriage. She wants to prevent people from getting abortions. And she will say or do whatever it takes to get there. And in the meantime, she pretends to give a shit about morals or like principle or whatever. It's trash.
Supposed to be.
Right.
I appreciated that, and I wish Georgia would do no abortion. They say the heartbeat bill, but if you don't take the heartbeat, then you can have an abortion. So let's just do away with it in Georgia. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the boys and the girls' sports, it's an issue in itself. But when you look at mutilation of body parts,
right,
and the mental health that comes into mental illness because of lack of mental health.
She's such a piece of shit, dude. Absolutely disgusting. Get out of people's doctor's offices. Why don't you try that out? It's none of your fucking business.
Comes when children are confused. Most children, by the time they reach...
Oh, she's going to spout off a nonsensical fact that is not backed by literally anything. Ready?
The end of adolescence know that they want a boy or girl opposite.
Absolutely.
Right? So girls like boys and boys like girls. But in the beginning, when they're young, they're insecure and they're, they don't know what it is.
Why are we talking about being gay? We were talking about being trans a second ago.
With these
what does being gay have to do with anything?
This emotion. They've always played with girls or they've always played with boys, and they're like, ooh, you have cooties. Like, let them grow past that.
Correct.
It's awkward. We all remember being children and being awkward. That doesn't mean you're trans.
That's right.
But it becomes a mental...
Nobody said that means you're trans. What the fuck are you going on about right now?
Illness when you start wanting to mutilate your body.
That's correct.
And when parents are mentally ill and they're pushing that down on their children, and I'll use this celebrity for example, Charlize Theron.
Oh God, she's fucking awful. She was in Star Wars, right? And she's kicked out of like a bunch of Hollywood whatevers because she's such a monstrously evil human being. I remember.
And she's a beautiful actress, and I love her movies. A lot of movies she's made I loved. But Charlize Theron, or Theron, however you pronounce her last name, she has adopted children, black children, and she has them all trans.
Okay, I'm not sure what she's talking about here. Are we talking about the same person?
What's the percentage of the trans community?
Well,
and now
because she trained them that way.
right, and
She directed them that way.
it's abuse.
So
This is fucking disgusting. The percentage of trans people in the world is so infinitesimally small, it's ridiculous. But what's all this? She adopted 2 children, both daughters. Jackson adopted in 2012 and August adopted 2015. As of April 2019, Theron confirmed that Jackson, her eldest child, was assigned male at birth but identifies as female, making her transgender. Theron stated that Jackson told her at age 3, "I'm not a boy," and she honors that identity by raising her as her daughter. There's been no public statement that her younger daughter, August, is trans. Oh, so she just made this shit up then, is what I'm reading. Is this the right person I'm thinking? Wait, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Yeah, am I thinking of someone else? Hang on, who's that actress who was in Star Wars and was and came out as a right-winger and then went to the Daily Wire something? Gina Carano. You're absolutely right. I'm thinking Gina Carano. Yep, Gina Carano. My mistake. I apologize, Charlize Theron. That's my mistake. I was thinking Gina Carano. Why did I think Charlize Theron was a right-winger? That's weird. Anyway, one kid is trans and was trans before Charlize Theron, had the kid, apparently. Before she adopted her, I guess, or whatever. That's my understanding. So this whole thing is just complete and total delusion, of course.
What's the percentage of the trans community?
Well, and now because she trained them that way.
Right. And
she directed them that way.
It's abuse.
So, total abuse. Totally abuse. So true. And we just got to, like you said, pray about those type of things and ask God to turn our nation back to Him to prevent these type of things, because that is really terrible. Let's go back again to people here in this community. What are some other issues that you're hearing that you need to really be attuned to and really want to help with?
Well, even since the hurricane, so we had the hurricane and it was devastating, more so for more inland where I live in Appling County and over, Waycross, Pierce County, Bacon County, that area in our district. We lost millions of dollars of timber and pecan trees. Other
pecan trees.
Things as well. But I talked specifically to pecan farmers and timber farmers who, some people lost $100,000, but some people lost millions. And the insurance did not cover timber like it did other farmland.
Right. Insurance is a scam. All insurance is a scam. Sometimes it's necessary, but if insurance is necessary, then in my opinion, I think that it should be it should be controlled with no profit motive whatsoever, none. Like car insurance is necessary. I don't think that car insurance companies should be operated at a profit. It should be non-profit organizations that control it. I'm thinking. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more. But at the very least, insurance should be heavily regulated because it's very quickly and easily turns into a complete scam if it doesn't start out that way. Like Obamacare made it illegal for insurance companies to pay out any less than 80% of their revenue. So they take $100 a month in from somebody, or let me think this over again. So say they take in $100 million a year from this district. They must pay out $80 million a year in that district in insurance claims. And if they're not paying out that much money, then they need to lower their rates to match it up. That was something that Obamacare did. And I'm thinking, why is that not already a rule? And why 80%? It should be 100%, basically. You should have zero profits. It should not be based on profit. Insurance. It just shouldn't. Any insurance. I don't give a what insurance it is. It's like gambling, and they're taking advantage of people.
And so we had no relief, and people, a lot of people, they have land that they've inherited and they pay the taxes on it. They cut the timber, they take that money, they pay the taxes on it every year. That's how they keep their family land and their family farm. when that's their, and that's going to be their retirement, and they're 70 years old still working, and that's going to be their retirement, and they lost $1 million in trees that they can't get back. And so I really needed to see some relief from the federal government. And had I been the congresswoman,
What? I thought you said you wanted smaller government. What happened to all this small government shit? It's only small when you want it to be small and big when you want it to be big. There's no principle to be found here. There's no I want smaller government to be found, really. She doesn't want smaller government.
and I would have made that happen quickly.
Right.
So we should be taking care of those type of issues, not sending money overseas for war like Ukraine and Russia that we should never have been involved in at the time.
But she is, on the other hand, in favor of the war in Iran, which she talks about in a little while. Again, she's not anti-war. She's anti-wars that she doesn't like and pretends to be anti-war as a principle.
And, sending billions of dollars there that was our taxpayer money. We need to take care of America first. Either we're America first or America last.
Right. That's true. That's true. How about the controversy of the U.S. aid that's been going on? You mentioned some of that. And
Oh my God, dude. The U.S. aid, quote unquote, controversy was fabricated trash. Just disgusting.
directly, but what are some abuses you'd like to see changed there?
Well, I mean, I don't know specifically what you're talking about in that area, but there's so many abuses with different grants and different, they call it a grant, or they hide it under different things, and certain people get it depending on who you are or who you know or what backroom deal you did, and so you see these certain people in every community.
Just such bullshit, dude. People have to qualify for grants. They have to apply for them and they have to qualify for them, obviously. She's saying there's corruption in U.S. aid. No, there isn't.
I've heard about it all over the state when I ran, but I've heard about it since I've been first district chair. These particular people that, they've made a lot of money off the government. They've gotten U.S. aid here. They've gotten COVID money here. They've gotten this. They've gotten
It's just nonsense.
SBA loans here, and they're never going to have to pay them back. And, farm loans that, they're not really a farmer, but they've gotten these farm loans and they're not even farming anymore.
Even Bill Gates gets a lot of.
Oh, just bullshit. Bill Gates gets grants because he does so much. Well, all right, let me rephrase. I apologize. Bill Gates doesn't get any grants. The Bill Gates and Bill and Melinda Foundation or whatever gets grants to help overseas, to help people who are suffering overseas, to help vaccinate children and stuff. Why is that bad? That's good. I don't understand. And they put their own money into it too.
Right.
Government subsidies that he's a multi-billionaire. What has he?
Bill Gates isn't getting these grants, brother. His foundation is to fund these charities. Bill Gates is putting more money into charity than he is getting out of anything. He's losing money.
Exactly. And even in, South Georgia, he has land and done those kind of things. And so you're like, what is going on with the money? So I was so thankful for Doge. And I think that it's done a great job with what it's done. I hope that they continue that and they even get more specific and these in every area, not just in big picture, but smaller areas, and get into the nooks and crannies of what our money's been misappropriated.
I would encourage you to really study that because, again, to your point, to have some really good numbers that you can go after, because again, it is amazing to hear different U.S. senators that have wives that run these organizations and they get $10 million a year or something like that. And you're like, why in the world would they allow that to continue? And then
why the f do you think that senators would allow their wives to continue to get tens of millions of dollars per year from some random nonprofit that they run?
Of course, then they go over and they're training other nations to really be anti-American. I mean, you're giving them money to organizations that are really not there to promote a republic. And that, to me, that's a key thing, too.
To promote a republic, as opposed to promoting democracy, right? Just disgusting.